and sunny. And also, we have thefatherstate.tv. Ring the bell. Steve, thank you for calling and thanks for holding. How have you been helped by the show?
I'm going to tell you this. I believe you might go down in history as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, black man that ever lived on planet Earth, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know anybody before you that's been that great. You know, freeing the slaves is one thing, but you've been freeing people of their mind, which matters, it should be anyhow, to you more than anything else, because with the mind not being right, there ain't nothing else going to happen right anyway.
If you can doubt every thought because you're not your thoughts, if you can doubt every thought, knowing that you're not your thoughts, you don't create them, they're not from God, that they're from the deceiver, the great deceiver, Satan. If you can doubt every thought, you can be free, just like that. At an instant. Bring every thought into captivity. It's so amazing.
I just want to say thank you for everything that you do. You've absolutely changed my life for the positive, and I just want to thank you. I was 29-year-old beta, living at home with my mom, and just was living in fear and in doubt, and I couldn't hold down a job. And then I found you, and I started listening. I started just being more at peace, and I forgave my mom, and I forgave my father. And it's like right after that, everything just changed in my life, and I was able to get a good job, and I moved out, and I live on my own now, and everything has just changed. And I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you for spreading that message. It really is a positive message.
Amazing. That's good, man. I want people to know God loves us in ways that there are no words to express, because you have nothing to compare it to, right? Stay with the silent prayer. You haven't seen anything yet. It gets better. We have a counseling service, and I have to admit, thanks to God, it is the best counseling service on this side of heaven. I counsel with men and women, families, individuals around the world. Most people are unhappy, they're miserable, they have rough lives, they're depressed, suicidal, young and old, of all races. I understand, I know why, and I do understand it. Because exactly what's happening in me is happening with everybody outside of me, inside of them. And I've noticed that with those who really, really, really want to understand, they overcome it just like that, out of one counseling session. If you need counseling, you can go to rebuildingtheman.com or call 800-411-2663. 800-411-BOND. Best counseling service on this side of heaven.
Colombia.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home. That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thanks for tuning in on this fine Wednesday. What a fine Wednesday it is to be back with you today. I got a bit of a show for you. we'd be talking about a number of things, okay? Trump is in the Middle East. It's kind of an amazing trip, the way he's being treated. And he's going to come back. I'm thinking he's being treated so well. He's going to come back with I don't know. I'm hearing he's talking all sorts of mess. Like, may Allah defeat our enemies. It's crazy. We'll get into it. I found some of it interesting and funny. But besides that, interesting things happening with the Democrats. The grievance people seem to coalesce and group up, and even the champions that they once had are being guillotined by the revolutionaries. David Hogg, you might know him. He's like a white male activist, anti-gun activist, survivor of some school shooting thing, and gets ousted. He's saying all the right things. He's saying all the good things. He's hitting all the notes, but he's a white man. He's a white male. And mask off moments, honestly, in these past few days with the white South Africans. Oh, mask off. We hate white people. David Hogg, mask off. We hate men. And it's like kind of stuff that's been said, but interesting moments, and I think you might find it interesting. I got a number of things to get into, so allow me to do so. Welcome to the show. If you got something you want to say, you got something on your mind, 888-775-3773 if you want to jump on the line there. But what else can I say? Welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in on punchy.tv. Thanks for making an account. Everybody on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. DLive.tv/Gorgonzola and my viewers on YouTube. What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. What else? I can't remember. Any housekeeping here? Look, just click the like button. Don't be rude. Come on in. Take a seat. Click the like button. Leave a comment. Say something. Say hello. At least say hello. Okay? Appreciate it. Just saying hi to everybody here in the chat. Thank you. Hassan, is that true? Chris, we'll have to do some homework. But what else? Thank you. Yeah, welcome. Tell them we're still rolling with Trump, too. You guys know that. But, I wanted to jump into some of the news, but I got something on my mind a bit. Hold on. We're moving the mic by pressing the button. We're doing it right without all this, right? This is this what you're hearing? That's what I'm trying to avoid, okay? So we're pressing the button to move it. I think I was not supposed to do that. But there's a question that's been floating around, I think, on the Hake Report, on the shows. And I just was thinking about it a bit, okay? The question, the big question, so controversial. What if there were no white people in America? Snap your fingers. They're all gone. Or a more realistic one, they just kind of like continue the way it seems to be going. A minority in America, okay? It didn't really get brought up. I didn't quite hear it. Maybe it got brought up. I think I even asked Hake, and it didn't seem too big of a topic, but I was thinking this may be low-hanging fruit. I was just thinking, how about the obvious one? How about let's start at the most obvious one, in your face one. It's a low-hanging fruit or whatever, but allow me to paint this picture because I think it's a little bit more poignant than it initially taken. Kamala Harris would be I said this too, I think, the other day, but here's what I meant by it. Like, Kamala Harris would be president of America. Kamala Harris would be president of the United States. That's for sure. If you look at the demographic breakdown, should non-whites have only voted, the vast majority of electoral college votes would go to Kamala Harris. You'd see a very blue America. Basically Democratic domination in every state. Seriously. And what's Kamala Harris? Just consider it for a moment. Who's Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris is what? An avatar of reparative justice. To undo what? To undo to undo what we've been hearing about for years since I grow up. I've been on the earth 31 years. And in that time, I've heard nothing but grievance and complaints. And yet, maybe just kind of assuming at first, but eventually you hear about it enough, an honest person looks around and says, what are you guys complaining about? You know? And so what more does the white man have to do, right? That's what comes to my mind. And I didn't start off, I didn't like hate immigrants, or I've been a weird, I don't know, I've been like a wignet or some kind of anchor baby skinhead since I was like young or something. I don't know what to say about that. It's just not so. The most radicalizing effect, and I'm not even radicalized. I don't see myself as hateful, violent, at nothing. It's just honest, is the behavior, and just simply looking upon the world, upon America. If it wasn't so, it wouldn't matter so much. If it wasn't so, it wouldn't matter so much. So am I wrong about that? Is that shallow? What do you guys think? It's not about hatred or judgment. It's never been like that. I'm simply observing. You know, it's just, you know, you just observe. You see the lying, the complaining, the gibs, the give me something, the teaming up. You know, we don't see color. We know it's all even Stevens. Doesn't exist racism, and it's like every other color is actually lying and teaming up. The way they assume evil, and how they love an uneven playing field. They love that. That's what they want. They speak about it. So that's what's radical. You know, on that one, if I may, just something I kind of heard. I kind of stopped listening. I was getting ready for my show. I heard some more drama with Mark maybe pop off on the Hake Report. It was great what I heard. It was definitely fascinating. But I just kind of heard that question right again. What would happen should there be no whites? It's like, let's start there. It's for me, that's just where I come at it from. It's just Kamala Harris would be president. It's not about an assumption. It's not about skin color. It's not about any of that. So, I don't know. That's just kind of an easy one, don't you think? When you observe, what do you mean? So anyways, yeah. Kamala Harris, it'd be reparative justice. That's what these people are saying, that they're openly saying is their main thing. So if there were no white people in America, it would, yeah. Besides what other obvious things, just obvious things, I guess. The quality of things running down. See, it wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't so, right? If it wasn't for the planes and the things we've talked about. Now I'm just kind of just throwing stuff out, but you understand the point. If it wasn't so, it wouldn't even be such a big deal. Because, you know, I benefit from it, folks. Like, I don't want to be on those trains out of here. But when we are, I'm going to be telling you. I tried to tell you. Your obstinate attitude and your give me has run its course. So, anyways, yeah. What else was it? It was the anyways, I'm moving on. But demographic breakdowns, when you look at them at the electoral maps and the voting maps, and you break it down, right? You get just white people. It doesn't look good. It really looks pretty bad. Besides white, I don't know what to tell you. So it's, again, if it wasn't so, it wouldn't be a big deal. It would not be a big deal at all. So, anyways. Let me not. I'm looking at my chat here. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the support. Yeah, 888-775-3773. I got some super chats and coffees and all that I want to get to. I will get to here in a second, but Trump in the Middle East, kind of fun, kind of interesting. I don't have necessarily much to say, but allow me to report on this because, you know, we're getting a interesting what's going on here? We're getting Trump here. Let me pull it up. Trump in the Middle East. Where did all my stuff go? Hold on. Because we're getting crazy videos. Trump, he's saying, Allah. He's saying, may Allah defeat our enemies. May Allah awaken the people. You heard this one? He's out there in the Middle East getting treated like a king. And now out of nowhere.
May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
Trump, man. It's like they treat you, we're messing around. This is from when Trump was in the Middle East. No, sorry, this is not at all. This was when Trump was talking about Ilhan Omar once. Ilhan Omar had written something on her social media. Trump was just making a point about it. You know, that's who we have in America. U.S. representative talking about the evil doings of Israel and America, he says. And the United States.
And the United States.
Yeah, it's not right. But that was from a while ago. That's taken out of context. But it's an awesome thing that he even said. It's a funny clip that can be taken out of context. That he just said those words is perfect. May Allah awaken the people. And he's out there on a big trip. You know, I kind of mentioned it the other day. And they're saying this level of respect is out of control. It's just rare. This level of respect is apparently being driven around by the Saudi crown prince now. The Saudi Arabia, by the crown prince himself, being driven around his birthplace of Saudi Arabia. So, getting a special treatment. Protect the spice. Oh, that was from Dune. You know, I heard Jesse asking the other day how these people get so much money. Oil? I don't know, but Trump actually said something interesting about that. Shows that he gets it. He was saying I'll just play the clip in a bit here later. Because I don't know if I totally understood it, but there was one part that made sense. That was clear. So he's being treated like a king, right? Making friends. I think that's how I see Trump. That's why I like this little thing with Saudi Arabia and the Gulf Coast leaders and all that. And I didn't even know that was in the Bible. I forget who, Hake probably brought it up about, I forget who it was, but someone in the Bible was like, maybe one of the brothers, some brother, I forget. Was he like exiled or left for dead or something like that? He ended up making all sorts of friends with prisoners and all that. This is maybe a little bit different with world leaders, but it's similar, right? He challenges all these entrenched notions of who you're supposed to be diplomatic with, and well, you just can't do that. You just can't do that. Be a man in the world and make things happen. But the whole thing is interesting, okay? The whole thing is interesting concerning the situation. Well, I don't know how else to put it. I mean, I was simply reporting on it the other day. These reports came out. Just describing the situation. I don't know how else to put it. The situation with Israeli-American diplomacy. You know, the allies as they are. As you're seeing here, here's again, just reiterating some of those reports. The U.S. is no longer demanding Saudi Arabia normalize ties with Israel as a condition for progress on civil nuclear cooperation talks. Another one of these signals showing basically a seemingly disconnect between the motivations of Israel and America. Trump wants this, they want that. I don't exactly even know the details. So, you know, when Trump talks about Iran, he doesn't want them having nuclear weapons either, but I just let him handle that, right? I'm kind of ignorant. But the situation is being reported on. It's an interesting situation between them right now. And so he's out there making deals and leaving them out. That's got to be a lot of pressure. You have to imagine that's got to be a lot of pressure on Netanyahu and just these governments, intergovernment stuff, right? So so he's out there making it happen. I appreciate that, right? We the Americans sure appreciate that, I'm sure. But the people are going. There's something so interesting about this. In that, what's interested me in a number of stories. We talk about identity. I can't. Maybe even in the earlier thing, I was simply mentioning. No white people in America, you get Kamala Harris, right? Is that me being obsessed with color? Or is that just simply observing a reality? Okay, a reality that people are tied up with their identities, and you could choose to deny such things, but when you don't, it might make confusing things clear. Like, see, this person, I don't even watch him. Okay, I know he's like maybe an older name on Fox. They say he's Fox's Mark Levin. Okay, and they're saying that he's calling some of this rhetoric involving Trump and any changes in the situation between the diplomacy of these two countries. They're busting out the anti-Semitic word. It's bothered. It's just to me, someone just watching from afar. It's like, okay, you're bothered because Israel's in jeopardy in your mind, and that makes sense. Why wouldn't that make? That makes perfect sense. I mean, as far as I know, he's a Jewish American man, and so that's just where I come at it from. So it's just seeing, isn't this identity at its core? Because the point is, Trump is just trying to do what's right for America. Now, once it goes up against this other nation that how do I put it? Just loves. Then what am I saying? You get it.
They're trying to
get. He doesn't gel. He gets mad. I don't know if he got mad, but I don't even quite understand the situation. See, the region, the politics of the region and all that. All I see is someone picking sides. How else do I put it?
Like Iran and the regime that runs it. They're terrorists. They keep threatening to destroy us and our friends, the Israelis. They're trying to get nuclear weapons and put them on intercontinental ballistic missiles. We reject it. I speak for tens of millions of red-blooded Americans. I speak for Christians and Jews and others alike. This is the view of the American people. That's number one. Americans hate Hamas. We hate terrorists, butchers, Nazis. We hate men that kill babies, that decapitate.
You get it. Yeah. Fair enough. I forget what this clip. I'm not trying to inundate you with all this. I don't even have much to say about it. Just he said something that was anti-Semitic. Hold on.
Despise them. We got real questions about Saudi Arabia and Saudi Arabia's role in 9/11. And the more that comes out, as the FBI just released some information about 6 to 8 months ago, the worse it looks.
Right.
Israel, our holy land for Jews and Christians.
Oh, man, I don't think this is the clip. Hold on. Look, whatever. I was just seeing some identity stuff right now. I hear Trump out there saying, hey, these neocons. He said something about neocons the other day. Over there in the Middle East, I think I have the clip for you. Neocons that want us to go to war and all that. And you see these two interests butting heads. The neocon element believes that war is the only way to solve things. And the president believes that his force of personality, the way that he's going to respond to situations, can bend people to do things in a better way. These are quotes, people in the government, Steve Witkoff. In response to that, Mark Levin is like, that word is prerogative for Jew. Unbelievable. Anyways, I'm also noticing my ignorance on this. So let me just move on. It's just identity and all that, shows. I noticed that to the noticers out there. Shout out, I guess. It's just if you just know me a bit, the trend is to hate the Jews, right? So I do go against that. So, but anyways, shout out to y'all, I guess. It's just trendy to do all the hate. So let me see. What else about the Middle East here? There was this speech that keeps going around. And let's watch it, because some of it, I don't even know if I even understand. But they're saying it's amazing. a big victory against globalism.
And it's crucial for the wider world to note this great transformation has not come from Western interventionists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing to develop Kabul, Baghdad, so many other cities. Instead, the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing...
when I hear something like that, I'm like, he gets it.
Your own unique visions and charting your own destinies in your own way. It's really incredible what you've done. In the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies.
He gets it, right? The people here. Nick, you look like an Allahu Akbar. Fair enough. So anyways, Nick looks like he rode into work on a magic carpet. Yeah, I've gotten that. I've gotten that a bit. I could be a Saudi prince. What do you think? Nick is savage. What did I say? What did I say that is savage? I'm not thinking of being savage. Just off the cuff. But what's he saying about Trump? Look, he was saying about the people there. Not all these people with their ideas, the nation builders messing around. Look, we're going to work together. You guys make your stuff happen, build your destiny. But we're also here at this meeting, this forum, so that we can all make a deal, make it work, okay? Anyways, he's got big visions, threading that needle. People doubt it. People keep doubting. I shall keep watching. They say that Biden was just mercilessly mocked by Saudi Arabian TV. So, it's just politics, but it shows who they respect. It shows who they respect. That's Kamala Harris. Is that a man? Or is that a woman? That might be a man in a... Nick secretly works for Al Jazeera.
Thank you very much.
That's just Hamas propaganda in the chat.
Today, we're going to talk about the crisis in Spain.
He totally has that Arab English accent. We're going to talk, it's like Omar, third rail, like, we're going to talk.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the crisis in Africa.
Anyways, Biden, Joe Biden. Let's move on, though. I don't have much to say about the Middle East. It's just amazing things happening. The golden age, shall I? Money in the trillions. What do you guys talk about? Thank you, Angband Art. Appreciate that. Let me get to some of these. In fact, some of these super chats and all that. Had some people send me some stuff here. Thank you for that. Let me see here. Harmony, thank you. Appreciate that. We got one. Angband Art says Hamas sounds like hummus. No? I've heard that one, Angband. Just like hummus. It's like a regional thing. We got some coffees here. buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. Thank you for that. Now this one's from, let me read this. Hold on. Thank you, Pinocchio. Appreciate that, someone. Now this is from Not Financial Advice. The dollar cost average whole ounce gold American Eagle coins, gold spot prices headed down in what may be one of the last dips ever before USD is replaced by CBDC. Congress will not stop spending and borrow at least another $3 trillion this year, inflating savings away. Sales tax applies to physical gold purchases in California under $2,000. If you pawn gold instead of selling, there's no capital gains tax. Money metals in Idaho and United Precious Metals. What are you saying? In Utah, both off. So anyways, talking gold, not financial advice. Appreciate the coffee. Just kind of a statement. Just some statements. Loosely related statements about gold. And possibly an ad. Not careful with that. Not financial advice. Yeah, you guys buying gold? I don't know. I'm not saying no. I just don't know. Don't talk. I'm the wrong guy to ask about that right now. Not financial advice. So anyways, you see this little report? They're saying that Pam Bondi, this is from the New York Times. Now, you're familiar with Pam Bondi, firebrand, United States Attorney General, lady, Trump pick, making it happen, working with the boys. Pamela Joe Bondi. It's not like I've been following her. Has she been doing a good job? What's the grade on her? I don't know. I can't even follow the minutia like that sometimes. If I don't see it for me, it's simple. Strong man. It can be that simple for you. Especially with the playing field today. Just someone who won't back down, right? Just kind of these simple manly qualities, if you really see them, that could be your heuristic, honestly. And you'll vote in and pick a better person every time. So that's why I can't even pay attention to the minutia of politics. It's like every person I see is someone I may be judging. Like, who am I, right? I'm this anchor baby on the show. I got my own problems. It's very easy for me to look at J.D. Vance and Usha. Although Usha's not too bad. If handled correctly, she would not turn into, in my head canon, Usha Vance would not turn into just like a seven-headed hydra of a woman. Just keep her home. Don't have to bring her everywhere. But I just can't help but see it, like weakness in the government, right? So I find it hard to pay attention to the minutia. There's this report though, kind of funny, kind of interesting. The title here, New York Times, as White House steers Justice Department, Bondi embraces role of TV messenger. So per this reporting, the story basically goes that Pam Bondi, oh man, it's okay. We don't need the exact text, but I pretty much remember. It's behind a paywall, and I had saved away some of the text here. But essentially, per this reporting, the story goes that Pam Bondi is a figurehead, that she's more of a like it says, a TV, like a figurehead there to just appear before the cameras in a sense, but that things are really being run by Stephen Miller and others. Let me see if I can even get the text. Pam Bondi, here it is. And this is after the Gates thing, okay? So Matt Gaetz was the pick. And you remember that blew up. Controversies came up. I forget what it even was. He was Trump's guy to be in this position. But the controversy was too much, or exactly what it was, it wasn't clear, because if I remember, Matt Gaetz didn't, he kind of stepped down, right? But here, according to this reporting, the decisions are being made at the White House and then they're being pushed down to the Department of Justice, which is very, very atypical, said Elizabeth Oyer, the department's former top pardon lawyer, who was fired after refusing to grant gun ownership rights to actor Mel Gibson. Nice. It feels like she is just performing a part, Miss Oyer said of Miss Bondi. She's like an actor in a way. If there's a script that has come in the form of prescriptive executive orders and memos from the White House, the agenda has largely been set by Mr. Trump, his advisor Stephen Miller, and other officials, hashing out details with 2 former criminal defense lawyers for Mr. Trump who run day-to-day operations in the department, along with the Attorney General. Based a little bit of base patriarchy in the Trump administration, you know. Just, you know, okay, look. Bam. You know what it is? It's they all agree anyways. Loyal, in a sense, at least loyal enough for Trump, at least in this case. Right? Like, just do what the memo says. Why would she say otherwise, right? She's doing a great job. You're doing a hell of a job. You're doing a hell of a job, Mrs. Bondi. Pamela, you're doing a great job. And I'm gonna get to calls. I appreciate it. Thanks for holding. 888-77. What the? You don't need to see that. 888-775-3773. But where was I? A little bit of a filler story because I want to get into this situation with David Hogg. You might find it somewhat interesting. Just openly showing what they're about in many cases. Mask off moments this week so far. Here's another one for you. But first, we got John out of Georgia. I believe we have John out of Georgia. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. John, go ahead.
I think you look like a total prissy-ass faggot.
How come I knew he was going to go down that way? You know, I'd be down to talk to him if you had a real question. You're just going to you're on the same thing? You don't have a real question? Because I'm down. I'm down to chop it up. I'm down to chop it up. I know you were just saying, man.
Go ahead,
one real question. Come on, I'll give you one chance. Come on. You know, you have the floor. Be smart.
Are you Jewish?
So, no, will not be smart. Refuses to be intelligent. I gave him a chance. But anyways. Are you Jewish? Hey. Ask me a question. No cussing, man. Anyways. Check this out. The DNC. I'm sure you by now it's not like you have any faith in them. You don't have to have faith in these political parties. The DNC, okay. They run the Democratic National Convention. This guy, David Hogg, you might be somewhat familiar with him, is running as the vice chair. Okay. It's basically a position. It shows the direction and motivation of these political parties, what they're into and all that, what will be the most important topics. It's really a campaigning and messaging arm of this whole process. David Hogg, not like I know him that well, but I never saw anything too good about him. Just kind of a into the gun thing. I know he was a survivor. They say he's a survivor. Let me pull up his info. David Hogg. Because I don't even know what school it was. Stoneman Douglas. That's what it was. High school in Parkland, Florida. 2018. Senior at the time. Hogg survived the attack, quickly became a leading voice in the movement against gun violence. And he's been a political activist ever since. Out there making it happen. So he's been part of what? The party that is openly at this point against anything kind of reasonable, white men, etc. They ousted him. So what happened? The story goes that he ran as this vice chair and won. A loser, a female loser in the same race, challenged the results And the reason behind her challenge, it's because of gender diversity rules. So here's the story from Truth Out. Democratic National Committee panel voted on Monday to void the result of a vote electing David Hogg as vice chair of the party after the young Democrat criticized the party for being asleep at the wheel as the Trump administration moves the U.S. swiftly towards fascism. That's how they color it. So that's kind of David Hogg in a nutshell. Young guy, firebrand, young guy, challenging even the old thinking of even the Democratic Party. And that's been a bit of a mixed bag lately. If you saw James Carville even recently saying, why are we got to get rid of these people, like these radicals, like Ilhan Omar, et cetera, who are turning off 33% of the electorate just with a single comment. White men are the issue in America, et cetera. It's been a bit of a mixed bag. I'm sure the older Democrats are looking at the progressivism like, okay, it's actually not working, but also there's another radicalism in the Democrats and in the world, honestly. It's really a world thing that is ignored, right? And allow me to describe it. I mean, it's happening right here. So young guy challenging the whole thing wins this election, the result of this vote to be this Democratic vice chair. I forget what it is. But this vote, the results of this vote were challenged by Kaylin Free, a losing candidate in this election. Kaylin Free. This lady is like I don't know what she is. I think she's like First Nations. You don't call that here, do you? She's an American attorney, a tribal citizen of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. Kaylin Free, loser in the race, loser candidate in this, lost to David Hogg, the masculine male man, David Hogg. So she challenges it. The committee decided, here's the article, the committee decided that the election was not conducted properly and that it violated the DNC's gender parity rules. A little bit more information on what the violation exactly was, because it's pretty vague in the articles. You can go to Wikipedia for that one. Someone updated this quickly, her Kaylin Free's Wikipedia. She challenged this same result, like I just said. Free announced her candidacy for vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. However, she was unsuccessful with Artie Blanco, one of the candidates, Malcolm Kenyatta, another candidate, and David Hogg winning the positions. Kaylin Free filed a complaint against the election, alleging the combined vote of Hogg and Kenyatta ultimately disadvantaged female candidates such as herself. On May 12th, the Credentials Committee of the DNC voted to void the results. Now, again, I hope I'm not misunderstanding this. Let's try and go to the cited material here for a moment, because if I'm understanding this, simply because there were more men running against her, it's just unfair. You got more. There's these men running against. Let's go. Where is this cited? 16. This is the article. DNC takes a step to avoid election. Darn, New York Times foiled by the paywall. But you understand, you see what kept him out? What kept him out was this simple gender parity rule. Oh man, the I Hate White Men party, took you out, David Hogg. What happened? How did you get here? Did you know this? Did you know it was destined to be this way? And so this article goes on to describe David Hogg a little bit and what he's into, and it describes this relationship I mentioned where this progressive, actually these younger progressives in the Democratic side are becoming a problem. And you just have to hear this part right here. Where was it? Where his criticisms of the Democratic Party are simply stuff like this. Like Trump is on a mission to crash our economy, disappear people without due process. That's where he's at. This whole deportation of people who shouldn't be here, criminals in a lot of cases, that's disappearing them. It's like China disappearing people into the night, or back to their home country, participating in flagrant corruption, fascism, all that stuff. So, there's actually these older people who don't want to see David Hogg. Actually, it's because of that. It is progressive. It's rubbing people the wrong way. But I don't know. They have a problem on their hands. It's like a runaway train with the demographic change and all that. I don't know how they're going to handle this. And there's another problem on top of all that. Because the truly radical element of the world, besides the Democratic Party, but okay, at least America, the truly radical element that won't be faced by, honestly, the left, the right, Republicans, Christians. You can make an argument, Muslims, Jews, is the female element, okay? There's no one more radical. There's literally no more radical, barbaric, and tribal than female voters. It's as you can see, he's espousing all the things, all the right things. He's calling Trump all the correct things. He's been saying all the right things, but he's not a woman. He's a white male. There's just no more radical. And the collection of grievance people, this critical mass of grievance people, it's like anybody who has a grievance just teamed up and they just openly say the white man is hated. It shows the older generation's hypnotism, like almost total hypnotism or silence to the radical women, which is your average woman, honestly, in my opinion. And that might be a strange statement. The older generations, right? Aren't they the ones that get it on this? But it seems so many are either just silent because their wife, the mothers, the women would tell them otherwise, nag them to oblivion, call them this or that. There's really no one more radical than these women. You gave the Mexican president, you gave a woman power in Mexico, and they're returning land to indigenous tribes. What are they calling it? They're calling it then we'll get to calls here, by the way. What are they calling it here? Claudia Sheinbaum, I'm sure a firebrand Mexican woman president. Sheinbaum returns stolen land to the Huicarica in historic ceremony. It's ridiculous. It had to be her. You know what I mean? Of course it had to be her. Radical. Just absolutely radical. The most radical. Out of control. Domestic terrorists in the family. Okay, anyways. But where was I? Pam Bondi, what was I saying here? David Hogg, yeah. The revolutionaries ended up guillotining him. If only he knew it was destined to be this way. Anger destroys all. You can't unite under anger. It's just a false unity. Okay? But anyways, let's see. I got some calls here I want to get to. David out of Texas. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Nick, how are you doing today, buddy?
Hey, David. All's well? No complaints?
Happy unbirthday.
You said unbirthday?
Yeah, happy unbirthday. Yesterday was your birthday.
Is that the Smith song?
My dad used to say happy unbirthday because you get a lot more of those than you do birthdays.
I see. Yeah, every other day is my own birthday. Heck yeah. I get 364 of those. I thought you were saying that I thought you were singing that Smith song.
Through?
All of them. Perfect birthday.
Good.
All I wanted. I thought you were singing that Smith song. It's your
No.
unbirthday? No, that's not what they did. It's your unhappy birthday. My bad.
Oh, no.
Your unhappy birthday.
No. I got a question.
All right.
Have you ever seen? There's a show on YouTube. It's about Australian customs border control or border. Like their border and customs. Have you ever seen? Oh my God, dude! You should see how strict these people are. I mean, you're not getting in, but and if because they got a lot of they have a lot of nationalities that live there in the country, and but if they come in there with all this different kinds of food, like the Chinese people will come in with they're just these different, some wacky
I have seen
stuff,
this.
like yeah, and I mean if our border was anything close to that, I mean 50%, especially under the last administration. I mean, we wouldn't have any problems, none. Because, I mean, if you look hanky or they have the swab and they swab for drugs and they swab for food, and then they'll open up their suitcases and then they'll throw all this stuff away. And then if they put you in the room, usually you're going home. And I mean, they just turn people right around. It doesn't matter if they spent their life savings on a ticket to get there. They're going home.
I think I've seen clips of this. It's basically like a customs border agent dealing with, it looks like a number of things, but I've seen clips of this, and they're dealing with
a number of things.
They're dealing with tourists, immigrants, etc., returning residents. Sometimes they're just like, sometimes they have the residency status, not exactly a citizen. And
correct.
And they'll be coming in with all sorts of crazy things. Turtles, live turtles, these poor little birds. And these people have the dumbest face, like, oh, what do you mean? I'm just bringing over exotic invasive species, and not even like packaged, just wrapped up in some leaf.
Right.
You see this stuff. It's crazy.
It'll be like freeze dried or something, looking like they're freeze dried.
You got to wonder if these people they just think differently, where it's like
they do.
I'm bringing over like these little animals. It's just different customs and all that, but in some cases, I've seen them bring all sorts of like highly illegal, invasive species. It's like, but what? I have to have my strange snack. Have you ever heard of Balu?
No.
Balu is a street food over there in some of those jungle Asian countries like Vietnam and all that. And I forget which one, but it's like it's basically it's an egg. It's like a chicken egg or a duck egg, but it's fertilized, and so like a little chicken half grew in there. Like it sort of half grew in there.
Sweet.
And then that's like a delicacy. They open they open this thing up, and it's just like half grown fetal. Like I'm telling you what it is. That's highly illegal. No, you can't. No, sir. No, tuk. You cannot bring that over the border. We're not allowing that. You're just not bringing that over the border. We're not allowing that.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. So you get a crunchy egg. A crunchy egg.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard it described a little bit. Would you try one?
Yeah. Chewy, crunchy. No, I'm out completely.
You out? No? Little onion, soy sauce?
No, not enough soy sauce in the world for that one.
Yeah, and it's like...
Yeah, I would have never made it on that Fear Factor show. Never. The hissing cockroaches and all. No. They can crawl on me. I'll be all right. I can get through that, but all the drinking and eating of the stuff, no. Fear is a factor for me when it comes to that crap.
Fair enough. Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, appreciate it,
all right,
David.
One more question.
Oh, yeah,
one more question real quick. So I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and the suggestion was made that for all of these companies, U.S.-based companies that are hiring these illegals, they should lose their business. What do you think about that?
Yeah, anyone hiring illegals. Yeah, it's whenever that's brought up in my mind, it seems like the obvious one. No, some way, shape, or form.
I'd hate to see them lose their business, but at least turn it around to where you've got to let all these people go, and if they can freeze my bank account, which I'm sure that they can, if they can freeze mine, they can freeze all these people's accounts, and that will help them to make the decision on their own to self-deport.
It seems like the way to go, right? You'd think that's the first thing you try, some way, shape, or form to identify, prosecute, and make all the levels of this industry, fifth column of an economy in this country to be dealt with. You deal with it on all the motivating factors. Where can you get work? Where can you find residency? Like, make all that difficult.
Right.
You'd think that's where you'd start.
You think so?
Yeah, man.
That's what a friend of mine always said. You don't run people off; you get them in their pocket.
Right. I mean,
get them in their pocket. Get them where they live.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, just food for thought, man.
Thanks,
I
David.
hope you have a great day. I'm glad you had a good birthday yesterday. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Appreciate it, David. Call me again.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye.
888-775-3773. All right, let's do this. And this one's we're activating loosey-goosey mode here, okay? We're loosey-goosey right now. Because I want to get into what's kind of on some of the front pages right now. This Diddy trial, okay? This trial is going on. It seems to have just begun, or all that, or certain tests, or certain witness, or certain plaintiffs are testifying, okay? It's honestly, you got all these channels out there. They're following this. They've been following, so they got this big thing they're following. I'm not necessarily following it. I really am not. So this is not the guy. I'm not the guy for that. I'm not familiar with the nitty-gritty details, and have not been following it like that. I'm honestly not defending Diddy or his actions. I just don't know, right? I'm bringing this up once more in the spirit of making this point that if I could describe a couple things here, you might see it my way. That in many ways, even if there were wrongdoings and all that, what seems to be the true motivation behind some of this Diddy stuff, etc., seems to be something only made possible by this grand deception that we all kind of dance with in society. Okay, and if you'll allow me here a moment to attempt to kind of describe this, okay? Because this Cassie, okay, you might have heard of her. Cassie, Ventura, what's her name? Cassie, just keep putting Cassie. What's her name? Doesn't matter. Cassie was deeply involved with Diddy for many years, a relationship and many other details. She begins testifying against Sean Diddy Combs in sex trafficking trial, is the story basically. Former girlfriend and R&B singer, Cassie. So let's see. I got a number of links here, and all of them have some kind of point to kind of paint this picture. But like I said, a little loosey-goosey. Let's kind of start with this first one I have set for myself. This is an article describing, right, Cassie and her, and the beginning of her testimony. This article describes her as the former girlfriend, R&B singer, who told a jury Tuesday that the music mogul abused and sexually exploited her for years, as she took the witness stand for the first time during the sex trafficking trial in New York. Okay. Sighing heavily and pausing to compose herself at times. What a funny, that's just an interesting line. I'm sure that's just real and normal, but I'm just judging. Hi, pausing in numerous times. Cassie recounted feeling compelled by Combs to participate in lengthy freak-off sex parties involving male sex workers. She said Combs assaulted her numerous times during their turbulent relationship. He would mash me in the head, knock me over, drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head if I was down, she said, causing bruises and black eyes. She said it was difficult to refuse Combs' demands because of fears of violence and blackmail videos from the freak-offs being disseminated on the internet. So, what was I thinking when I first read this? You know, you hear about this and you want to say, well, poor Cassie. She's clearly a victim in this. And how do I put this? It's obvious in my mind. It is in the realm of possibilities that someone can be afraid of blackmail, and that's somehow becomes a criminal offense. I could believe that, right? Like, and you could show that to be the case, and that, you know, I was afraid of blackmail initially, and you know what, I'm showing this and that, and you know what, and it can be seen as even a criminal offense, right? But there seems to be this assumption, don't you think, in society? Consider for a moment that your average person wouldn't even think the following, that the existence of blackmail videos doesn't make you a total victim, in that the presence of blackmail videos that you participated in willingly, right? Allegedly participated, right? She says herself. The mere existence of those videos, and then someone saying they'll use them against you. A person deciding to then keep something quiet, not go to the cops, etc., for fear of such blackmail, is putting something above their own freedom, right? They're putting their music career, their reputation. You can understand someone, obviously. It's just a little point, I guess. Right, you've put something like there's nothing, no one should have anything above you. Your music career, your reputation, all those things, no one else is going to put the important thing in front of everything else for you, right? And then to come out after, and again, as the more I talk about this, the more I'm like, I don't know, you know, can someone be criminal in their blackmail, and someone be afraid initially in the onset, and fine, that's possible, but imagine a world that makes it quite easy for someone to have made their bed, paid their penance for their reputation and their career, etc., and then be able to weaponize that, come out after and actually say, actually, even though the penance was paid, right? The blood agreement was written. The soul was sold. You come out after and say, hey, well, hold on, actually, I want it my way. I want it like this. It's a commentary on the world a little bit. It's how I see it a little bit. What do you guys think? Huh? Cassie reveals, so what else? I have something else saved for myself. Cassie reveals Kid Cudi text messages that sent jealous Diddy into a violent rage. Now, what was it about this one? Sean, Diddy Combs' ex-girlfriend, main accuser, Cassie Ventura, is testifying against him for a second day, reads the article. The pregnant singer, 38, shared harrowing testimony about his sex trafficking and racketeering trial, claiming she was coerced into participating into horrific sex sessions that could last up to 4 days. Damn. In humiliating detail, she recounted a turbulent 10-year relationship with Combs that she said was consumed by violence and his obsession with a form of voyeurism, where he was controlling the whole situation. You know, the details get pretty wild, right? So he just loved these situations, according to her, where he's just watching and saying what he wants to happen. That included directing her encounters with male sex workers, right down to the copious amounts of baby oil she applied to maintain the glistening look he desired. Again, it's like 10 bottles a session, allegedly. You don't think that after like the second, how many bottles did it take, Cassie, right? You're just wondering like, how I need this to end. This needs to stop. Like, how many did it take, Like the 10th bottle. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to open up a sex trafficking case against you. It's like you had hundreds of bottles, Cassie. But anyways, let me stop myself. Combs' defense says he's guilty of domestic violence, but not of sex trafficking or racketeering. But here's the thing, DV, domestic violence. Honestly, domestic violence laws, and I don't know the exact details how it's written and all that, so forgive any ignorant statement, but they should change so that women that stay with the man and return to this individual that's abusing them, even physically, etc., they should get like no protection from cops or the law. Like a cop should be able to see a situation, arrive to a call, and be like, oh, Cassie, this is 10 years in. Oh, all right, boys, pack it up. We can leave here. There's no crime here. This is mutual combat. The culture or the laws or something should change in that way. Where the cops can arrive to unless that's like a crime, right? Like you could say this person physically assaulted this person here in this case. Okay, that's wrong. But this is like, well, I don't know. The details here get murky, right? There's video of him hurting her and all that, right? So that's why they're saying he's guilty of domestic violence. But not of all this other stuff, sex trafficking and all that. That he's being targeted for his sexual preferences. But what else about that? What else did I have saved here? I do want to be careful in a sense, because it seems to me like every now... I've mentioned the culture and how in many ways the following men you see, R. Kelly, Cosby, and Diddy now, in many ways I think the mere culture has railroaded them in some ways, okay? That being said, it seems to me like for some black people, it's like every guy, every man, every black male accused of something, it's like a FBI conspiracy, So I just want to be careful there. Like, yeah, maybe some weird stuff happened. I just don't know. I'm talking about the culture. But I swear, every time it's like you'll get somebody saying it's a deep conspiracy to take down the black man.
He is in jail because he didn't want to sell his masters to a certain music company. If he's wrong, he should do the time. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying he's only there.
And it's never quite clear, but obviously maybe I'm just ignorant, okay? Maybe you guys are hearing this man and thinking, yeah, no, he gets it. He knows about the music industry, and I don't know. I swear it's always some conspiracy, like the FBI. It's like, no, it's the culture, and people are weak to women, and they've made women gods, literal gods that you can't criticize. And it's crazy.
Yeah, because he broke the rules. Bill Cosby went to jail, not for molesting white women, but him and his wife didn't want to let the second largest oil company in the world drill under their home for
Maybe that's true. Maybe that's like totally true or something, but
oil. These people are not
oil
going to jail for sex crimes. They're going to jail for standing their ground. Puffy might be guilty.
So anyway, so you got to understand the vibes here. Like, let me be quite careful and just kind of maybe, anyways. But what else about these articles? They reveal fascinating things in these articles and just little lines that I just want to point out that describe the world we live in. Let's see. Was it this one? Cassie reveals? No, that's the same one. But you hear that? Yeah. Cosby, it was the oil. Anybody know about that? Is that just made up? Am I the ridiculous person for laughing? It was the oil. It was the oil companies. So was it this one? Cassie, let's see here. Daily Mail, another article here. In humiliating detail, no, we read that. Here it is, the text messages and stuff. In humiliating detail, she recounted a turbulent 10-year relationship where she had a phone, 10 years, I don't know. She said she was consumed by violence and his obsession with a form of voyeurism, blah, 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 right? The 10 bottles per session, blah, blah, blah. So here it is. Diddy became violent over Cassie's romance with Kid Cudi, allegedly. Cassie said Diddy found out she had been... Wait, what? This is not... Oh, this article, this is why I'm confused. This article is updating itself. Oh. So as you refresh this, whoever is updating this article is adding new details and new stuff as this trial and all that is going, I imagine. Because this is the part I read, I think, right here. No, man, now they put it behind a paywall? This is like an evolving article, folks. Understand my confusion here. There was an interesting part about her texts and her claims. Okay. Freak offs this, freak off that. Let me see. Was it how about this one? Look. How about the description here on the Skim about it? Just take this in. The ladies at the Skim, their front page story is the Diddy trial, right? And they're saying in Cassie tells the story Diddy tried to bury. And you just read some of this, right? Cassie Ventura took the stand Tuesday at Sean Diddy Combs' federal sex trafficking trial, describing her life with the music mogul as one shaped by control, fear, and violence. Ventura said Combs beat her more times than she could count, dictated her appearance, and filmed sex acts to use as blackmail. She testified that Combs ordered her to find male escorts for freak-offs. Was it this one? Prosecutors are using her testimony to establish coercion rather than consent. I just didn't feel like I had much of a choice. Combs pleaded not guilty. Anyways. You know, when I initially read it, I guess I must have was thinking more about it when I initially read some of this. There's got to be one more thing here. Hold on. And then we'll get to Super Chats, calls, and all that. 888-775-3773. Because basically, there was one moment, if I remember, they were describing all these texts. And it was supposed to be the way the article described it. It's like, it's such terrible, these horrific things that Diddy texted to Cassie. And then when they got to the actual text, it was basically Cassie saying, oh, I didn't want to kiss that male escort. All this other freak off and all that. I just don't like kissing him, okay? It's like, why'd you make me kiss him? I didn't want to do that. And then mired in like all this other degeneracy. It's like, why'd you make me kiss him? It's like, this is the crusade. And then another part where what was it? Anyways, the article's updating. Let's just move on. You made your bed in some ways, right? If this was for your career, if this was all that, that was the price you paid. You chose that. You, in a sense, chose to pay. You in your mind believed that you could get whatever the things you wanted, the reputation, the career, and all that. And this was the payment. Some part of you knew that, as I speak on this ignorantly, right? So anyways, Diddy, moving on. Honestly, moving on, I think here, it's like a front page on a whole bunch of news sites here. Front page here. Yeah, I think that's it here. Prosecutors argue Combs built a criminal... Anyways. Oh yeah, it was the text about drug use. That's what it was. It was like, oh, and click here to see the terrible, disgusting texts between Diddy and Cassie, and it's basically Cassie and Diddy arguing about wanting to do drugs or not. It's like, no, don't do those. Don't do that drug today. I want you to remember the freak off. So, anyways, now we'll get into stupid territory. I think, whatever details of nasty stuff. I was going to point out how the world is a little bit. Okay, the god that the female has become. But let's move on here. Look, here's another one for you that's got people. Well, you know what's this one has people going on a witch hunt in a sense after these two individuals on the internet. Okay, these people, they filmed themselves doing something you just can't do. Okay, even now, even still today. And many of you might even disagree with this, okay? You might disagree. I don't even know exactly what they meant by it, okay? But these two white individuals are being plastered on social media, and they are asking the world to find them. Find them, find their names, find out where they live. In a post that's got 19 million views, this is just one of them. We've got them identified. They're saying Eric Levi, over on X. We've identified these people. What is the crime that these people committed? They were so to understand how this even happened, how such an event even happened, where these two were filmed committing doing a salute to an old German leader, a German leader from back in history. Okay, they were doing that salute, and they were singing along to a song, a recently released popular song by an individual. Kanye West goes by Ye. He goes by Ye now. And he's been releasing some, you could call it groundbreaking music, maybe, lately. In fact, so groundbreaking in the, I don't know, in its attempt to offend, in his attempt to use his free speech to his absolute extent. Honestly, on a man using his free speech to the ultimate level, that brings a tear to my eye straight up. But his groundbreaking music includes groundbreaking lyrics such as, if I may, and similar to the N-word, I'm not saying it, I'm simply repeating a song. Heil Hitler is the lyrics of the chorus of this song. You got these two individuals posting themselves, singing along to the tune, rocking the salutes, not holding back. You see this as you're seeing on your screens. As you're seeing on your screens, some were saying cringe. They're like, cringe. But, like Lin Yan Chin said, cringing. Does Lin Yan Chin say this? Is cringing not Christian? It's probably not manly. But this broke some people. Like I said, in a post that's got, in one particular post that's got 19 million views, a call. And this was after multiple calls to get these people doxxed and find their names and all that. Finally, they are proudly, this one in particular, at least this is just one example, proudly showing their scalp, their proverbial scalps collection, naming, plastering their full name on social media, saying, we found them, where they're from, for their crime of what they did here, okay? And, I couldn't help but look at all this. I couldn't help but look at this as a mask-off moment, in a sense. In a way, the world we grew up in reveals itself. The world says love all people, but it's about what's actually enforced and what's actually in effect not allowed, and what is in effect allowed is what it's about. And you got to wonder, in a world where It seems like everything else is allowed. Hail Satan and all sorts of stuff is allowed. You know, it shows the. I mean, this must be clear. I'm sure this must be like, call it even low hanging fruit, but it's the truth. It's the hypocrisy of this anti-racism world we were taught about, that we grew up in. You know, it's colorblind. Everyone's colorblind, but it's not. It's not. It's actually just anti-white. I guess I use quotation marks because that's how that world sees it. They're the colonialists. They're the ones who started the wars, the world wars, right? That the ultimate show, the crystallization of white evil, whether wrong or right or whatever you believe in the world, is the Heiling and the Hitler and all that, right? But again, the double standard and hypocrisy shows what all that anti-racism is about. It's against this, against all that. And you know what? That wouldn't even be, how do I put this, so necessarily wrong if it wasn't for the double standard, right? You know, those people in the year 2025 could very well just be not too unlike your average radical person. You know, your mainstream normie person is a radical in many ways. You know, your average normie woman sees the necessity of the female's rise in society. It's like, that's a radical, you know, we can get into that, but so in such a world, these people in 2025 could very likely just be as radical. Jail them, go after them and jail them, then you got to jail all sorts of people, right? Just saying it how it is, at the very least. Now, I really don't know anything about them, and I don't care. You guys are cringing at them? Who cares? It's like, even if it is cringe. It's a hand movement, a song, like. Anyways, appreciate that, Ryan Moon. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for that. It says, great show. All the coffees, all the support. Very generous from you. Someone's. See, these are different ones, right? I think I'm able to see. Hold on. Normally I never check, but someone might just be a default name on Buy Me a Coffee. That might be actually numerous different people. Either way, generous donations. Thank you so much. BuyMeACoffee.com/anchorbaby. See, the trick is you got to log in. You got to log into everything. Like, just take my biometrics already. You know what I mean? Just upload my DNA already. You know, connect my biometrics with my online identity already. Plug me in and just don't let me log in anymore. I'm done with logging in. We don't need to log this. Just plug me, you know, put the chip in. Like, so yeah, it looks like someone, or maybe different someones along the way. Shout out to all of you for all your support. Thanks. Yeah. Someone confirmed. Different someones. Anyways. No mo logins. Is that too far? Do you guys think I'm overreacting? I will keep my biometrics. Thank you. Oh, okay. You guys think I'm overreacting, huh? Take the mark of the beast. I'm a little bit frustrated with logging in to Buy Me a Coffee today. with that little frustration. I say, bring on the mark of the beast. Overreacting. Prove you're not a bot. I don't know. I don't think I could prove that. Everyone's a bot. Bot responses. Am I an individual? God, will I ever be an individual? So thanks for the support, everybody. Let's hear. Let's move it on here. Let's move it on here. Wow, we are running through the show fast today. We are definitely running through the show fast today. I gotta mention this concerning some of the South Africa stuff yesterday. For the sake of the clip, the fullness of the clip, allow me to get into this so that when I cut it all up, I can just add it all together and just the clip will be just that much better. You know, on the topic, you know, concerning the racist move by Trump, right? Choosing some refugees over the others. Is he doing it on just skin color? I thought we were against immigration. What's going on? You know, some really don't know. In a large way, that region, South Africa, is seemingly some of the only legitimate refugees of the world, where you have actual.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Just full on. Just like, how about this one? End Wokeness post this. EFF leader in South Africa. We have not called for killing off the whites for now.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm saying to you, we've not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter, they freak out. It sounds like a genocidal call.
Cry babies. Cry babies.
I'm not calling for the slaughter of white people, at least for now.
I mean, the floor is yours. I'm waiting for him to. Should the guy push a little harder? Hey, that sounds like exactly a genocide. What say you?
I can't give a guarantee of the future, especially when things are going the way they are.
Subtext.
Especially if things are going the way they are.
Oh, yeah, Julius Malema. I'm somewhat familiar with him. You know, I realize how some people think, you know, how this fools some people. Because you're stuck being intellectual about, like, a small detail, missing, what do they call that? Isn't there an expression for that? Isn't there an expression for that? Missing the forest for the trees. Something like that. You know, chronically intellectual person might hear Julius and think, well, before I make a judgment on what he said, show me some evidence that when he's saying that it will turn, that we're not going to kill white people for now, that he's just not talking about, you know, mutual combat or you know, just like a justified killing of white people. Like you can see how a chronically intellectual person might miss the forest for the trees here. You know, it's just obvious the trend of what's happening. There's no white people oppressing these. It doesn't seem like these South Africans, these black people in you know, I think they even say themselves, right? Don't they admit themselves apartheid is over? These people are running. These people are on the run. These white people are on the run. This is not going to be a justified. For now, this is just for now. See, he's being a reasonable political leader and considering all his options. Perfectly normal, right? Perfectly normal things to say. Here's another perfectly normal thing to say. The very same ANC, the African National Congress, led by that Cyril Ramaphosa, the very same that recently changed their laws, causing the Trump administration to recognize the plight of the white South Afrikaner, paving the way for their refugee status and their recent arrivals. That very same ANC released a statement. Look at these guys, the gall. You got to take this one in. They released a statement responding to Trump and this whole situation. And you got to really take this one in because they openly basically say something wild. So here's the Department of Communications, blah, blah, blah. ANC, the African National Congress, this was released on my birthday, no less. Congress rejects the falsehood of Afrikaner refugees. So the very concept of Afrikaner refugees, they reject it. And on the basis of what? They say, the African National Congress registers its firm rejection of the United States government's decision to grant refugee status to 49 individuals self-identifying as Afrikaners. Let it be categorically stated, there are no Afrikaner refugees in South Africa. No section of our society is hounded, persecuted, or subject to ethnic victimization. These claims are fabrication and a cowardly political construct designed to delegitimize our democracy and insult sacrifices made by generations who fought for freedom. You know, you read that so far and you're like, okay, well, I guess maybe they have a point. I got to hear both sides. Let me tell you that in their very statement here, they reveal themselves. You just got to pay attention. This year, as we commemorate the 70th anniversary of the Freedom Charter, we recall its enduring truth that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white. What the instigators of this falsehood seek is not safety, but impunity from transformation. They flee not from persecution, but from justice, equality, and accountability for historic privilege. Take that in. You know, your government starts talking like that, it's time to go. In a sense, you know, and you can understand people wanting to go. That's what they're saying. They're saying, these people, oh, they're lying. There's no refugee. There are no refugees. Everything's fine here, okay? But what is the everything is fine here? They describe it themselves. What the everything is fine here, what's everything fine in South Africa? Oh, just the racial transformation of historic privilege, a radical racial, and anyone leaving this country, by the way, is seeking impunity from this, what they call justice. You know, we don't get to like inflict what we call justice on you, and that's why we didn't like you leaving. Isn't that a crazy thing to admit? Isn't that such a hateful, wild thing to admit on the world stage? But obviously it works, you know? And it must be, I don't know what it is. Chronic intellectualism. I don't think it's necessarily, look, it's just a crazy thing to admit, don't you think? They are saying out loud, we did not get to do this to you, to inflict this equality on you. It's like if they didn't want to be equal, don't you want them out? Aren't you happy they're gone? No, they flee from justice and accountability for historic privilege. But I thought apartheid's done, right? It's over. Nelson Mandela came, right? Well, I don't even know. I don't even know the story. So, a mask off moment there with the ANC. But here's a mask off moment with people here in America. As Jesse Lee Peterson was warning the South Africans, wondering if they knew the fire they were jumping into, out of the frying pan into the fire, if they knew the racial, jungle they left to arrive to, concerning, right, how whites are even hated here, right? How South Africa is in America. This one's from End Wokeness. TikTok influencer issues direct threat to the 59 white refugees. Says that black people will be hunting them down. Dear South Africans entering the U.S. Take this one in.
Good morning. This is for the South Africans who are going to be entering the United States. This is just a public service announcement. I just wanted to make you aware that the black people who were students during apartheid, we're grandmas and grandpas now, and we have the ear of Gen Z. One more thing. I also want to let you know that our president, he has Secret Service, and you will not. I also want to tell you that black people over here are empowered. These are just public service announcements. When you get here, sit your ass down and don't touch nothing. Because you don't have Secret Service.
What the?
Okay. Now have the day you deserve.
People are angry out there, man. People are angry and
Good
hateful out
morning.
there.
This is.
How many views did this even get? Like organically, besides, because whoever posted this got 4 million views, but how many did this actual post get? Where can we find this post? Where can we do? Let's do a little sleuthing.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's do a little sleuthing. Now, how do we do that? Nope, that's not how you do that. Hold on, I'm a little curious. Nope. Will I find it this way? I don't know. We are oh. Nice. That's not it. I just want to see the original post personally.
We're going to
concerning, just to see the comments maybe a little bit. What kind of traction she got? What if I type in Dear South Africans? This is how we'll do this. This is how we'll find this. Dear South Africans entering the U.S. TikTok. $5 I find it with this method. Okay, maybe I didn't find it. Dear South Africans entering the U.S. Yes. Okay, no, not that one. I don't think I'll find it. I definitely tried. But it's just all reposts of this person. I may have found her. Whoa, she's got Daily Mail articles about her, actually. It seems she's getting her own little attention here. Black woman issues threat to white South African refugees allowed into the U.S. She says, you don't have protection. You know, I bet you Daily Mail will link to her TikTok. We are sleuthing this. Come on, TikTok. No, that's probably just a link to the general website. Come on, Daily Mail. You can do it. Nah, they don't have it. Moore links her TikTok to her career coaching business. She touts herself as a luminary in the realm of human relations, who is the epitome of wisdom and proficiency, and sells her self-help book. Maybe we can find her this way. I'm committed. Sorry, folks. More. Come on, give me your TikTok. Come on. Anyways, I'm about to give up. Hold on. Moving on. Dear South Africans. So anyways, hunted. You don't have Secret Service. What kind of comment is that? You're not going to have Secret Service. Mask off moments, huh? All around. Incredible. What are y'all saying here? Empowered, yeah. That's not her. That's a demon using her vessel. Fair enough, Harmony. Harmony. Making sure we don't forget. Yeah, trying to tell them, yeah, black people, they're empowered here. Empowered people don't complain. Empowered people don't need to blame and need stuff from others. Empowered people don't make a video about South Africans like this. What did those people do to you? They did apartheid to you? I don't know. I don't think you thought this one through. But anyways, is it true they're going to pardon Derek Chauvin? Is this fake news? They're saying that they're preparing for a pardon. And, you know, they're saying to prepare. Why? If Minnesota, if they're reportedly bringing out the National Guard and briefing on preparations for a Derek Chauvin pardon, it probably has to do with what they call lovingly civil unrest. It's what I'm sure they call lovingly. They will call lovingly. Oh, it's it's a little bit of civil unrest. So it seems like it might be happening though. That's the reports, the rumors.
Tonight about new civil unrest over the murder of George Floyd. This month marks 5 years since his death sparked protests and riots. Here,
they still call it that too. If you pardon, like let's say, should Derek Chauvin be pardoned? Shouldn't it be stopped? You can't call it the murder of George Floyd anymore. Now, I bet you legally and all that, that's how it's going to be called, and that would be like maybe par for the course.
You're local.
But, ask an honest person. If they pardon Derek Chauvin for whatever reason, now I guess it has to come down to what reasoning and all that. But if he gets pardoned, then there's no murder.
And around the world. And the city, county, and state are preparing for new potential protests. Jay Coles is here to explain why. Jay?
Yeah, Kevin, multiple sources.
This is new, right? Yeah, 17 hours ago.
Tell me there are two things driving this. First, in recent weeks, we've seen calls from conservative commentators for President Trump to pardon Derek Chauvin. Second, sources tell me the city of Minneapolis is almost certain the Department of Justice next week will move to end its consent decree over the MPD because it's happened in other cities. So preparations are happening now, just days before the 5th anniversary of George Floyd's murder.
Wait, when was that? April? Wait, what? Days? I can't even remember now. When did George Floyd die? Yeah, May. That was in May. March, April, May. Huh. Look at that. Imagine that. That was during May. I was thinking wrong about that. But it's coming up, huh?
This is what Minneapolis looked like after former MPD officer Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd. And it's something state and city leaders do not want to see happen again. I spoke with 6 total sources today. They tell me Governor Tim Walz, the Minnesota National Guard, Attorney General Keith Ellison, Mayor Jacob Fry, and Hennepin County Sheriff DeWanna Witt have all been briefed on a potential Chauvin pardon and the possible end to the federal consent decree that called for extensive reform at MPD. And tonight, law enforcement is now preparing for possible civil unrest if those two things happen.
It would be about time, honestly, too. Because that's what gets me about some of this stuff. And that's where some of that energy comes from with Diddy. Despite, I'll have egg on my face should I speak too much on something I don't know, right? But I can't help but comment on the true, what seems to be the true motivating force behind this stuff. It's not just a fair society that said, you know what, in this case, this was an abuse of the law and it was wrong to do that to that man. Or with Diddy, this is not about identities and genders and politics. It's about this individual committing this crime against this woman. I can't help but notice it's hard to see it that way when you look at the world. The real energy behind And it's probably easier to say about George Floyd here, so let me stick to that. Dude, he's a bit of a pocket topic here, a little bit of a unique topic on that one. Maybe it's easier to maybe describe here with George Floyd that it's not about that case. It was the motivating energy was fear of the racism and kissing up to the racist topic and all that.
Mayor Frey is not talking about those plans, but as Commissioner of Community Safety, Todd Barnett, in a statement says, quote, "We've heard the same rumors as everyone else, but the bottom line is that Derek Chauvin would remain behind bars, serving his state sentence, even if his federal charges are pardoned. To be clear, we have no credible intelligence about any pardon or planned disruptions here in Minneapolis." Sources tell me the Minnesota Department of Corrections would be ready to take Chauvin from a federal penitentiary in Arizona to Oak Park Heights maximum security prison here in Minnesota. Attorney General Ellison telling MSNBC over the weekend, Chauvin's not going free.
He still owes Minnesota 22 and a half years, and he's going to do it either in Minnesota or somewhere, but he's not getting out.
Then on Monday, Governor Walz...
That's crazy. Why would you even care? Owes Minnesota? That's not justice. Owes Minnesota. It's just a crime. It's the punishment fits the crime. You do something, and the world has decided, the society, the social contract has simply decided that that's the punishment for that crime. Devoid of emotion, devoid of any... how is that... The crime was committed if you see it as a crime or whatever. And George Floyd is dead. Who's Derek Chauvin owe anything to? It's simply a way of ordering society and a way of deterring other things, deterring further crimes. That's all it is. And a reasonable, man-led society, and I think we got to throw the Christian in there, would see what I'm saying, right? So, where was I? Yeah, he owes this city years. He owes you. It's a crazy thing to say. That someone that speaks with such languages should be kept far, far away from whatever is judicial in this country.
Told reporters,
no indication whether they're going to do it or not, but I think it behooves us to be prepared for it with this presidency, that it seems like that might be something they would do.
And in March, White House reporters asked Trump if he would pardon Chauvin.
Your allies are calling on you to pardon Derek Chauvin. Are you considering pardoning Derek Chauvin?
No, I haven't even heard about it.
Now, we did reach out to the White House tonight. We have not heard back. If the Justice Department petitions the court next Thursday to drop the consent decree with MPD, sources tell me the city intends to challenge that move. That would mean a decision from the judge would then come about 4 to 6 weeks after both sides have filed their legal briefs. Reporting live in the newsroom, Jay Coles, 5 Eyewitness News.
There are
So that's it. That's actually somewhat interesting. We'll see what happens there. You're saying that was Keith Ellison? The person who was saying that
even if his federal charges are...
I heard that name on the Hague Report before. I know he's like, oh, this guy. I actually am somewhat familiar with him.
Owes Minnesota.
Yeah, Keith Ellison, Minnesota Attorney General. The Chiron reads here. Wasn't he famously pictured with that Antifa book? That's how these communist type people are. Oh yeah, that's him. The Anti-Fascist Handbook. Just like an uncontrollably angry wing of the left here, man. This racial stuff, it's wild. But anyways, Keith, what was I? George Floyd. Will they release him? We shall see. But they're to prepare for civil unrest over this is. Do you need me to explain? The blindness of the people, right? Oh, you're releasing, you're going to pardon him, and he killed him, right? He had racism in his eyes. Look at the smirk he had. It's never been about justice from the get-go. So wishing him well, I guess. I think he should be pardoned. You know, the whole even if you can make a case about that he did do something wrong and committed, right, added to the death in some way, you got to call mistrial. I know I'm not a lawyer and I'm probably misusing stuff, but this constitutes mistrial or whatever, you know, because this whole thing was a witch hunt. So anyways, that's pretty much the show, folks. I got to vacate the studio here. We need the studio, so we got to vacate. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Kind of relaxed, loosey-goosey on the second half there. But we got through the tech. We got through all the super chats, the calls, the supporters, the topics. We done did it all. So we're going to call it there. I'll be back tomorrow for, Thursday already. Imagine that. We got Bible Thumper Thursday, the rest of the network shows, and, of course, more American Anchor, baby. So I'll see you then. Make sure you like and subscribe and do all the things. It always helps. Appreciate all the support as always. Leave a comment. Tell me what you don't like. I read them all. But besides that, that's everything. For real this time. I must go. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Oh, Lil Nick, too. He's got to say bye. Bye.